wife and I did ancestry DNA as a joke on our anniversary. We stopped laughing pretty quickly. It was her idea. We'd been married 12 years, and she wanted to do something different for our anniversary. Not a fancy dinner, not a weekend trip. She'd seen those commercials where people cry discovering their part Viking, and she thought it would be funny. What if you're secretly Italian? She said, holding up the two little tubes. That would explain so much about you and pasta. We did it at the kitchen table with a bottle of wine and made a whole event out of it. Mailed the kits that same night. 6 weeks later, we got an email saying our results were ready. I remember standing behind her at the laptop, both of us grinning like we were about to scratch a lottery ticket. I was mostly Irish and Norwegian, which surprised exactly no one. She was Greek and Eastern European, which matched her family perfectly. Then we clicked on the relative matches. The DNA companies show you other users who share enough genetic material to be considered a relative. We both had distant cousins on there. People you'd expect. Third cousins, fourth cousins, names that mean nothing. Then one name appeared near the top of my wife's list. Not a distant cousin. A half-sibling match, 94% confidence. Her name was Diane. She was 41 years old. My wife is 39. My wife went quiet in a way I hadn't heard before. Not the comfortable quiet of someone thinking. A different kind. The kind that fills a room. That's not possible, she said. My parents were high school sweethearts. They've been together since they were 16. I didn't say anything. I just put my hand on her shoulder. She stared at the screen for a long time. Then she clicked on Diane's profile. Diane had uploaded a photo. She had my wife's nose. My wife's exact nose. The one I'd kissed 10,000 times, sitting on a stranger's face. My wife closed the laptop. She didn't talk to me much that night, which I understood. It wasn't me she needed to process. It was everything she thought she knew about her family, quietly rearranging itself into something unrecognizable. The next morning, she called her mother. I heard the conversation from the kitchen. My wife's voice was steady. She was careful, the way you are, when you already suspect you won't like the answer, and you want to give the other person a chance to be honest. Her mother went silent for nearly 30 seconds. Then she said, "Where did you see that name?" Not, "What are you talking about?" Not, "That's impossible." She asked where my wife had seen the name, which meant she recognized it. My wife came into the kitchen and sat down across from me. She didn't say anything for a while. I poured her a coffee and slid it over. Her father wasn't her biological father. Not technically. Her parents had separated briefly when they were 19. Just 4 months, her mother said. A gap nobody had ever mentioned. During that time, her mother had a relationship with someone else. When she found out she was pregnant, she and her father had reconciled, and she'd made a decision that she'd carried for 40 years. Her father didn't know. That's the part that broke my wife. Not the existence of Diane, not even the secret itself. It was that her father, the man who coached her soccer teams and drove her to college and danced with her at our wedding, had spent 40 years loving a daughter without knowing the full story. We spent a week deciding what to do. My wife went back and forth on it constantly. She'd be furious at breakfast and heartbroken by dinner. I mostly listened. She decided to reach out to Diane first. She wanted to know who she was before she blew up everything else. Diane had known for years. She'd done the test specifically hoping to find her biological father's other family. She was warm. She wasn't looking to cause chaos. She just wanted to know where she came from. They talked for 3 hours on the phone. My wife told me Diane laughed exactly like she did. Same cadence, same timing. The strangest conversation of her life, talking to a stranger who felt genetically familiar. Then my wife told her father. I drove her. She asked me to wait in the car, and I sat in her parents' driveway for 2 hours. When she came out, her eyes were red, but she wasn't broken the way I feared. He cried. He held her face and told her she was his daughter, and nothing changed that. Then he went inside to talk to her mother, and my wife said she could hear his voice change in a way she'd never heard before. That was 8 months ago. Her parents are still together. That's not mine to have an opinion about. Diane came to visit last month. She and my wife sat at the same kitchen table where we'd done the test, drinking wine, showing each other photos on their phones. Two strangers who shared a nose and a laugh, figuring out what they were to each other. My wife looked up and caught me watching. Still think it was a good anniversary idea? I asked. She thought about it for a second. Ask me again in a few years.